Hey YouTube, what's good? It's Chris from Universe X, and I am back today to go over some really hot news. We are going into the character balance changes that were just posted this morning. So before I get into anything, whether this is your first, second, 18th time at this channel, if you haven't already, think about subscribing. Subscribe if you'd like to, because a lot more content's on the way, and I just want to grow this channel and be one of the more known Epic 7 content creators, and that's still a goal that I'm striving for. The second part is the normal daily summon, well, not daily summon, but group summon per video. So let's start this. This is your chance to pause and catch up. And now, if you were here where I am, let's actually get this done. Normal countdown, 3, 2, 1, go. It's nothing. It's nothing. Now, yesterday would have actually been like really hot. Where can you see you can see your summon log somewhere, right? Right? I think so. I don't really think so. No, I don't think so. Yesterday I was chilling, and maybe I'll just put the screenshot in the corner, but I was just chilling and I saw the purple shine, and I was like, okay, maybe did I get my Crimson Armin like shortly before nerf, and then it just like balances on shortly before nerf. And I was like, oh, okay, but then it's like better than okay, because now, I mean, your boy is going to be able to trade it in for any ML 5-star, because, spoiler alert, he did receive that wreck. So, let's get into this. There's a lot to go over, so just bear with me. Alright, so the information is regarding the hero balance adjustment that is scheduled to be applied after the September 5th update. The purpose of this hero balance is to improve the PvP ability of Covenant summon heroes that have not been as popular as other heroes, so that our heirs can create new team combinations for more diverse battle experience. Also, we are hoping to increase utilization of underperforming 3-star Moonlight heroes via balance adjustments. Finally, we also improve certain artifacts that had less than optimal impact so that new strategies could be created. So, probability and numbers of turns based on fully enhanced characters. These are just things they want you to note. The values mentioned in the preview may differ from the actual update. The skill descriptions mentioned in the preview may differ from the actual update, but here's at least the framework. First and foremost, the girl with the scissors. Don't lose your way herself a little bit. Snip Snip before brutally cuts the enemy with a 50% chance to inflict 4 bleeding effects for 2 turns. 50% each. Deals an additional damage when target isn't buffed. So, the change is also saying the caster's combat readiness increases by 50%. And it deals additional damage when the target is not buffed. So, the additional damage is increased to 50% compared to whatever value it was before. And more importantly, her S1 will boost her up 50% combat readiness. That's crazy. That's going to get her more turns. That's going to effectively reduce the cooldown of her S3. The next part, Soul Cutter. Before it was just you cut with Cho and Maul and inflicting extinction, but now it grants the caster skill nullifier and has increased 11% damage. So that's going to be very good. Between the 50%, actually just, you know, chomping. I'm going to leave this on there so you can pause and see if you want to read that while I'm going in. But the 50% will give her more turns. The skill nullifier will make sure that she can survive the clapback for the next turn. And so essentially they're just adding more to her survivability and making her take more turns to make sure that you can use Soul Cutter more times. Excellent. Lidica. If Lidica wasn't Golem's Bane before, Lidica is Golem's Bane now. Now, it's actually just absolutely just nasty. I think in Golem 11, the tree cleanses before it heals, so maybe this won't get rid of the healing there. But, first and foremost, Thornbush attacks all enemies with a 100% chance to decrease hit chance for 1 turn. Now, Thornbush will actually strip one buff. So in PvP at least, you can actually just strip something from an AoE and also give them less of a chance to hit. That's actually kind of wonderful. Then her next thing actually is Public Execution. You guys already know what it does. It resets the combat readiness by 100%, just it docks you down to 0, and it also inflicts, you know, minus speed. But now it also can grant unhealable for 2 turns, which just makes her one of the most penultimate Golem bosses or boss characters you could have. Like, she's just amazing, powerhouse. And that's just kind of cool. But also, Public Execution will effectively put somebody at the back of the line in PvP, make them unhealable, and make it hard for them to get to the front. So everybody can wail on them. They can't be healed. It's just, that's beast. That is beast. Basar. So before, Sandwind attacks with magic with a 75% chance to transfer 1 debuff from the caster to the enemy. Now, it does that before inflicting a random debuff for 2 turns. So Sandstorm has an RNG factor, but it packs a little bit more of a punch. The fact that it can just give a random debuff. You can put someone to sleep. You can stun somebody. Kind of cool. Hurricane attacks all enemies by releasing Hot Sand Hurricane with a 75% chance to decrease hit chance for 2 turns. Cool. But now it's had its Soul Burn effect removed, because before it would decrease a skill cooldown by 2 turns. Soul Burn has been removed, but it also has a chance to decrease hit and attack for 2 turns. And that is pretty cool as well. Now the next one, Sandstorm. Attacks all enemies with sand magic, dispelling all buffs and make them unable to be buffed for 2 turns. Now it also decreases combat readiness by 30%. And Soul Burn ignores effect resistance, so that's pretty cool. Now, my girl, I've had her for a while. I have not actually built her the way. I had her on like speed effectiveness, but I actually really want to get her an attack set that just happens to have as much speed as possible. So, Dragon's Roar before. You attack with a Dragon's Howl, dispelling 1 buff from all enemies with a 50% chance of silencing for 1 turn, before granting increased attack and speed of caster for 2 turns. 4 turn cooldown Max Mola. Now her Dragon's Roar now attacks with a Dragon Howl, dispelling buffs from all enemies with an 85% chance to be silenced. That's great. That's great. Before granting increased speed and attack, but Mola it comes down to 3 turns now. So that's actually going to be a lot more usable. Damage is also increased by 50%, and that's a huge buff. Now her Dragon's Charge, before you would hit the enemy with a finishing blow, stunning them for 1 turn, dispelling all buffs. Now, what's going on now is you dispel all buffs before stunning. So if somebody had immunity before, you would miss the chance to stun, and then you would strip them. Now you're going to attempt to strip them and then stun them, and that is a huge change to her kit. Yuna, her homing laser attacks all enemies with a drone, increasing the caster's combat radius by 6% per target. When there are fewer than 3 enemies, damage dealt increases with fewer enemies. Now, homing laser attacks all enemies with a drone, increasing combat radius by 6% per target, and increasing combat radius of all allies except the caster by 2%. So she becomes a little bit more of a support. Now, you have the upgrade. Buffs all allies with a drone, increases attack and speed for 2 turns. Acquired focus 1, cooldown 4 turns. They've now reduced both of those. Well, they've increased the focus by 1 and decreased the cooldown by 3. Now her Meteor Cannon attacks all enemies with an enormous and powerful cannon, inflicting huge damage. When there are 3 less enemies, damage dealt increases. Now, when hit, it always results in a critical hit. So it has to miss, not to crit, and that's pretty cool. Now, Arminta. Yep, Fire Pillar attacks all enemies with a massive Fire Pillar with a 100% chance to burn for 2 turns and increase the caster's combat readiness by 50%. But now it has a 50% chance to stun for 1 turn. So this is actually going to be... Oh, and she got a damage increase for Catalyst. So this is actually going to be neato, because she kind of feels a little bit more like her Moonlight counterpart. Not like all the way there, but that's pretty cute, the fact that she can stun now. Now we're moving on to some of the Moonlights. Assassin Kali. Her S1 got changed. Before it just did more damage, if you were stealth. But now it grants the caster additional speed. So it helps the damage scaling due to speed. And on top of that, damage increased by 12% compared to before. Damage in stealth mode were increased by 9%. So it's just going to be a bigger move, and it's going to grant you speed, which is going to help out in turns afterwards. Then Murder is decreased by 1 turn as a cooldown. Purgus got a lot of changes, and I almost don't feel like reading because I might not still use Purgus, but let's see. Falling Strike is changed to scale off of caster's max health, and that's really just his only real thing, but that's a big, huge thing. Get Lost now has a 15% chance to stun for 1 turn. Very, 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 very small, but hits all enemies when counterattacking. Okay, that's a passive. Yeah, that's awesome. So now you have a 50% chance to stun people when you counterattack, and that's great. Final Blow. So before, attacks all enemies with a powerful ground pound, stunning for 1 turn when they have less than 30% health. Now, you have a 50% chance to stun for 1 turn regardless. And the chance increases to 100% when they have less than 30% health. Cool. Damage dealt is proportional to caster's max health. So he's now going to be a good scaling character just to make a beefy bruiser. And that's always going to be cool. Armin. Alright, normal Armin. Releases a bright light to attack all enemies. This is the flash of light. And chance to... what? Let's see this. Sorry. Just looking at this. Okay. So, chance to decrease hit chance for 2 turns, inflict poison for 3 turns, and inflicts damage to the caster for, or increases defense to the caster for 1 turn. Now it has a 100% chance to decrease hit chance for 2 turns, inflict poison for 3 turns, and decreases the defense. Or, wow, I can't talk about this one. Increases the defense of the caster for 2 turns. The shield wall was changed. Decreases damage suffered by all allies by 10% when the skill is under cooldown. So it's going to be one of those nice little passes where just Armin being on the team with their S3Us is going to just make the team soak up a little bit more damage. Crozet. I can't help it either because I hate this character. So protection is increased defense and a barrier to an ally for 2 turns when an attack causes their health to fall beneath 50. However, now it can be activated once every turn instead of once every 2 turns. And then Breakthrough is going to have a 75% chance to provoke, as well as decreasing combat readiness. So, we like that. And it's also going out to a 4-turn cooldown instead of 5 turns. Kitty Clarissa, her ult is now going to gain an extra turn. So she'll give that immunity. Yeah, decreasing debuff duration, granting immunity and loveliness, and then she's going to just gain an extra turn. So that's going to be huge momentum for anybody that's still rocking Kitty Cat Clarissa. Acades, Rapid Cure. Decreases target's skill cooldown by 1 turn. This is a massive thing. So it's going to grant health, grant invincibility, and reduce skill cooldown by 1. Wonderful. Actually, that just strictly got better. Oteal. Arena or area defense. All allies receive 20% less damage from the attacks, or receive 20% less damage from attacks from targets from allies. When this effect is granted more than once, only the strongest effect is applied. Now it's 30%. So she's definitely going to be cool as a Moonlight 3-star unit. Also, the mana release. Let's see. It also inflicts silence onto the enemy amongst what it was already doing before. Gunther has actually gotten a significant buff. It's actually crazy. The caster does not deal critical hit, but attack increased by 75%. But now he increases critical hit resistance by 70%, and that is massive. Next, his ult is actually going to stun and decrease defense for 2 turns, and increase damage by 29%. So if you've got that triple S Gunther now, and you're sitting on him like, why? Now you have a reason why. Enjoy him. Love him. And that's the end of part 1. So, moving on to part 2, because I didn't mean to X all it out. Next, we're going to talk about some of the artifacts. Justice for All is still, I think, kind of trash, but now instead of putting 1 buff, or a buff on you for 1 turn, it's actually going to grant the caster a random buff for 2 turns. So I guess if you you can stack 2 buffs for 1 turn, and it's still just a random buff, and we're still not trying to use it. So Violet Talisman used to increase attack by 10% to 10 times, but this made it a little harder to stack it up because having your character go 10 times essentially makes it useless in PvP. And only usable for longer fights. But now, he's actually able to increase the attack by 10% 3 times. So it only takes 3 turns to get moving. And now I feel like 3 turns is kind of a lot for 30%, but only time will tell. I feel like a lot of thieves will benefit from this hard because that's a lot of attack to only have to go 3 times for. Especially if you're using a character like Baiken or Karen that can take an extra turn. You just start... I'm sorry, it's a tiring day. But on characters like Baiken, you could literally with just your S2 and S1 already, the S2 is dealing 20% more damage, or the S1 is dealing 20% more damage, and your S3, when you get around to your next turn, technically only the second time she's come up in the line, is going to be a full 30% more damage. Noble Oath. As health decreases, defense and effect resistance increase up to 50%. Now it's 100%. So on Death's Door, you're going to have a tank. But of course, you're on Death's Door, so they might not need to kill you that hard to kill you. So we'll move on past that. Alexa's Basket. 40% chance to grant increased attack and crit chance to the caster at the end of the turn. Now it's 40% chance to grant increased attack, great, and critical hit chance to caster at for one at the start of the turn. That is busted. Its max percentage is going to be its max percentage, but the fact that you can now just almost coin flip it and just get greater attack and critical chance up, we're about it. Now they're changing up the constellations a little bit to have a speed increase, so certain mages can go fast. Then you have the Moonlight Hero balance adjustment. So essentially these are just some of the things they want to do with Moonlights, and there's only like a couple of these so far. So let's go through them and wrap up the video. Silver Blade Araminta. So flame release. Before it was activating, when the enemies burn instead of after using flame friction. Flame release is going to attack all enemies with Mystic Fire energy, increasing caster's combat radius by 30%. It's been nerfed to 20%. Then the Meteor Fall has a higher turn, or higher cooldown, so it's gonna be 5 turns. And that's actually a huge change for that, because she's a fast and furious character. Now she's at 5. Next, Ball and Sazan actually got a hefty change. I didn't see one of these things here before, but the cooldown has gone up 1 turn, which is massive. The combat readiness granted the caster is only 10% from 15%, which is massive, but also it only strips 1 buff. So if your opponent has 3 buffs on there, you really just, what are you doing? Even if they have 2 buffs on there, you're gonna feel that way a lot. Rarely does somebody just have an invincibility without immunity right there on it, so it's kind of rough. Arbiter Vildren, the only thing that really changed about him is that he will no longer have increased attack for 2 turns, because that was too strong and they should have felt ashamed. Crimson Armin got a hefty nerf. Right here, she decreases damage done by allies from a critical hit by only 10%, max of 15, instead of 20, max of 30. That's straight in half, and that's insane. Now she only grants immunity for 2 turns instead of 3 turns. So really, she is not the defensive power she once was. She still might be good, but cutting down that critical hit damage soak by half is crazy. So here it's just talking about what happens when you recall a hero. New Moonlight policy will be applied according to the Moonlight Hero balance adjustments. Moonlight Hero's performance has been reduced due to balance adjustments or recalled. It will be possible to exchange adjusted hero with a new Moonlight Hero of the same level that was the same available at the start date of the recall. So if you have any of those Moonlights, Araminta, Ball, Arbiter Vildren, oh my gosh, I'm sorry for the sleepies. I'm doing this between jobs. I have my second job, my other job today on my break, but the news must be told. And that's pretty much it. So you can just recall those, get the stuff back for them. If you have imprints in your 5-star MLs, you're gonna get an unknown slate. They're going to make a 4-star equivalent for the 4-star Moonlights, so if you have Crimson Armin. And that's actually pretty much it. Additionally, when recalling Moonlight Heroes, if you wish to receive the hero you spent for a memory imprint instead of an unknown slate, please send us a request to customer service without using the unknown slate. So it looks like if you pulled 2 Silverblade Armintias, you could actually just ask for another Silverblade instead of the unknown slate, and that's cool. So if you have imprints on your Moonlight 5-stars, you don't necessarily need to rob yourself of having the unit totally. And I think that's pretty neat. So that is actually the whole thing. I hope you guys liked some of the changes. I hope you guys didn't feel too shafted with some of the things they did. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. So once again, thank you guys for stopping by Universe X, and I'll see you next time you decide to drop by. Peace.